Mary had a little lamb. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind. I know words. I have the best words. But there's no better word than stupid. Right? There is none. There is none.
How about douchebag? How about liar? I like that. I think that's a better word for him than stupid. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. So Donald Trump is continuing his tour of states with exactly one congressional district. I mean, he doesn't even make the pretense that he's president of anything but the red states, does he? Does he? I mean, why not go to Massachusetts? Why not visit California? Hello, Oregon. I've come here to try and persuade you that I'm a decent president. I mean, he doesn't even try. You know, if he went to California, just let's face it, Mike Pompeo would have to come back from North Korea and do advance work with, Jerry Brown. You know what I mean? This is what would have to happen. We'd have to send the Secretary of State ahead of time to make sure that, there was room for discussion. I just, listen, this president with his best words and all his best people, he knows all the best people, right?
We've got the best people. Yeah. I know the best people. Yeah. I know the best managers. I know the best deal makers. I have the most dedicated people. I have the best people.
I can't take it. Okay, so that could go on for quite some time because that's a long mashup of him saying he has the best people, and everybody is gone, including now, yay, Scott Pruitt, who is going to be replaced by Andy Wheeler, who is an energy lobbyist for big coal. Oh, my God. Well, there is no such thing as big coal. It's little coal now. But, I mean, this was just amazing. Trump has been on a tour of red states. Why he does this, I'm not really sure. Does he just need to be? It really does remind me of that movie Soap Dish. Kevin Kline and Sally Field, great movie. Whoopi Goldberg, where Sally Field is a soap star, and when she gets down and she feels she needs accolades, she goes to the Passaic Mall. When Whoopi Goldberg goes with her and starts screaming, oh, my God, look, it's, so-and-so from The Sun also sets. And everybody, oh, can I have your autograph? Can I be? I mean, this is what he does. He puts himself in these crazy states. He did Duluth, Minnesota last night. He did Great Falls, Montana. All that's left is he needs a little trip to Wyoming. This is really insane what he does. And he just talks for a man who knows great word, he makes no freaking sense whatsoever. Of course, everybody's played the clip where he insulted women across the country. Keep going. Keep doing it. Keep doing it, you stupid douchebag. Keep doing it because only 32% of women support this man. And yeah, that includes Republican women. 32%. I mean, nobody is down with this baby separation thing. Everybody's like, horrified by him. This was really, I would say, a bridge too far for a lot of women. And then last night, he attacked survivors of rape and molestation. I mean, you have hundreds and hundreds of, and those are just the famous men, right? Hundreds and hundreds of famous men placed in the bright spotlight of the Me Too movement. Everyone from Bill Cosby, Roger Ailes, Bill O'Reilly, right? The list goes on and on. Millions and millions of dollars in settlements paid. Donald Trump's paying hush money to porn stars. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Summer Zervos, who is going to depose Donald Trump in January. She's suing him for defamation because he called her a liar. And he hires yesterday, as he's firing Scott Pruitt, he goes on this tour to Great Falls. I mean, this was just amazing. It was just like the sickest that you would never know that Scott Pruitt was, forced to resign, that John Kelly called up Scott Pruitt and said, the time has come, and forced Pruitt out. God only knows why, probably because Scott Pruitt's own people were blowing the whistle against Scott Pruitt and screaming and yelling that he broke federal law. He was scrubbing his calendars. That's, a violation of the Records Act. So, and yesterday, here's another thing that slipped under the cracks. We did the Jim Jordan story yesterday, which is really starting to become huge. I think we can get rid of Jim Jordan pretty quick. Toot sweet. I do. Because Jim Jordan is lying, because Jim Jordan is a liar. Jim Jordan says he's never heard Donald Trump lie. Never heard Donald Trump lie. Let's see. Let's go back to Duluth, Minnesota.
I just got back, as you know, from Singapore, where I met Kim Jong-un, and we had a great meeting, great chemistry. We got along really well, which is very important. They didn't want us to, but it's like nice to do that. Our great fallen heroes, the remains. In fact, today already 200 have been sent back.
Okay, that's a lie. Jim, Congressman Jordan, that's a lie. Nobody's been sent back. No bodies have been sent back. This is just a lie. I mean, and he keeps saying it. He said it last. He keeps saying why. Even now, we've gotten these. Maybe we will. There's 7,700 of them to be returned, but they haven't been returned. And he's like, as even today, and that was June 20th. This is a lie. Why does he keep doing this? And Jim Jordan doesn't hear la 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 la. I can't hear you lie. But Jim Jordan is, I think we should get rid of him. I think we should, go full scale Denny Hastert on Jim Jordan, because a fourth kid has come forward now. I mean, the guys are in their 40s. They're not children anymore. But a fourth guy came forward yesterday and said, it's impossible that Jim Jordan didn't know that these kids were being molested, that these kids were being sexually abused, that this doctor was showering with them for an hour at a time, that they had to run a gauntlet of sexual deviation, and other professors were invited to come and shower. I mean, this is a sick freaking thing that went on at Ohio State. But I mean, that said, you have a president who blatantly lies about things that do matter. I got along great with Kim Jong-un. We had great. I mean, these are murderers. These are people that literally starve their people, murder their people, intern their people, put their people in gulags. North Korea is one giant gulag, but he loves them. He's got chemistry with them, and he's saying, I put an end to North Korea's nuclear threat. Maybe it's less than a threat, because it's a reality now, because the intelligence community has clearly shown that he's enriching uranium faster and faster than he ever has. I don't know. But when he wasn't blatantly lying, he was babbling. He was just babbling on and just trashing women who survived rape, women who survived being drugged and raped, women who survived being sexually harassed at work, to the point where they won $25 million in settlements, like Gretchen Carlson. And, and now he hires Bill Shine, who was so tainted by covering up for Roger Ailes, and Fox News having to pay out millions and millions and millions of dollars in settlements to women. And Trump just hires Bill Shine, who was so tainted by this cover-up that he was forced to leave Fox News. Now, how disgusting do you have to be to women to be forced to leave Fox News? Roger Ailes died. He wasn't forced to leave Fox News. Do you know what I mean? It's just so unbelievable. He was too toxic to work at Fox, but now Trump has invited him to be the deputy, not even the deputy communications director. I mean, this is just so sick. This is a guy who covered up for Roy Moore, a pedophile. This is the president who covered up for Rob Porter, a wife beater. This is a president who's got 22 women accusing him of sexual assault, women accusing him of being an octopus on a plane and going up their skirts, going up their dresses. This is a guy who we know told Howard Stern, his own lips, where you getting this from? From Donald Trump, where he loves to go and look at naked teenagers. And what are they going to do? I own the pageant. I own the place. So I get to look. I get to inspect, is what he said. I mean, and when he wasn't lying last night, he's babbling about Pocahontas, and Elton John. I mean, he looked like the fat Elvis Presley at the end of his life last night, except, there was more sweating. It was just so bizarre. It was very disturbing. This president, he could literally suffer a stroke on stage and nobody would know.
The new platform of the Democrat Party. And by the way, I call it the Democrat Party. It sounds better rhetorically. You know, I wrote bestsellers. I guess I speak well. You know, we turned away.
Oh, my God. He wrote bestsellers. Tell it to Tony Schwartz, who wrote those books for you. And, you know, I guess I have the best words. I guess I do. What is wrong with him? I'm telling you, he could stroke out right there. Nobody would even be able to tell.
Wait, thousands of people. They never say I'm a great speaker. Why the hell do so many people come?
Because you're a curiosity. It's like a freak show.
I don't think it's true. Why do they come? Why?
You're a freak.
Why do they come?
We like to watch an accident.
I guess they like my policy. Maybe you like policy.
What policy?
No, it's true. Have you ever noticed? You never hear that. You never hear that. You never hear it. I mean, there's got to be a reason. I have broken more Elton John records. He seems to have a lot of records.
What?
And by the way, I don't have a musical instrument. I don't have a guitar or an organ. No organ. Elton has an organ.
Elton has an organ.
And lots of other people helping. No, we've broken a lot of records. We've broken virtually every record because, you know, look, I only need this space. They need much more room. For basketball, for hockey, for all the sports, they need a lot of room. We don't need it. We have people in that space. So we break all these records. But really, we do it without, like, the musical instruments. This is the only musical, the mouth. And hopefully the brain attached to the mouth, right? The brain, more important than the mouth, is the brain. The brain is much more important.
I wish Elton John was president. Oh, my God. He keeps doing this. And then, you know, the other day, when after Minnesota, we played 5 minutes of him just going on about nothing. Just on and on and on and on. And he did it last night, and he lied so much that, I mean, it's like such a heavy lift every time this man steps up to a microphone because, you know, I go through the transcripts and I have to fact check everything he said. And it's like every breath he takes, he's lying. Last night he said, I'm not even going to play all this because people get really irritated with me because they're so sick of him. But he said last night that Ronald Reagan didn't win Wisconsin and he was the first president to win Wisconsin. That's just first Republican. That is just false. Republicans have won Wisconsin like 7 times in modern. Ronald Reagan won Wisconsin. I don't even know what the hell is. What is the deal? And all he does is surround himself with wife beaters. And Steve Bannon was a wife beater, okay? And Rob Porter was a wife beater. And he surrounds himself with, Bill Shine, who covered up for people who were molesting women and harassing women. And then yesterday, when he was on Air Force One, he called the reporters in to the office on Air Force One. And Bill Shine, who was so toxic he couldn't stay at Fox News, who had just been hired by Donald Trump, was in the room, and the reporters came in, and Donald Trump started to say that, well, they asked him about, what do you make about the Ohio State situation and all these, young boys who were molested and went and told, that freedom cracker, Jim Jordan, about it. And Jim Jordan's now lying and saying the lawyers never contacted him and these boys never told him squat and he didn't know. And if he did know, he would have done something. And Donald Trump actually said, I don't believe any of them, meaning the survivors of Dr. Strauss, who committed suicide in 2005, this pedophile, right? Donald Trump said he doesn't believe any of these boys. None of them. They're all lying. He believes Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan is a fine person. Jim Jordan is a good person. And every one of these survivors is lying. Oh, my God. And then last night, he did like the same damn thing that he did with Barack Obama. If Barack Obama can produce his birth certificate, he'll give him $5 million. He said to Elizabeth Warren that she should do the Ancestry.com. He'll throw it at her. He's going to throw the little tube at her, and she should do it. He'll pay her $1 million if she's an Indian. I mean, what the? How does this have to do with your life and making it better?
all things Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, The Randi Rhodes Show.
John Tester voted no on tax cuts for Montana families. He voted no on cutting the estate tax or the death tax for your farms, your farmers, and your small businesses. Think of that one. Think of that one. But you got it anyway because we got it passed. So on your farms, for the most part, you will have no estate tax or death tax to pay. You can leave your farm, you can leave your small business to your children or whoever you want to leave them. Don't always leave them to the children. If the children aren't good children, don't leave them to somebody else. But you have no tax to pay. Pretty good, right? Nobody thought that was going to happen.
Can I explain this, please? First of all, the reason he went to Montana was to trash John Tester for an hour, which is what he did. Because John Tester is a Democrat and Donald Trump hates him. Donald Trump has threatened John Tester before. You know, when you got to remember, John Tester is the ranking member on the Veterans Affairs Committee. You can thank John Tester for any progressive piece of legislation that has to do with the Veterans Affairs Administration for the VA, okay? And when Donald Trump, you know, he knows the best people, right? He only gets the best managers, the best, right? So Donald Trump had anointed Ronnie Jackson as remember the White House doctor who was passing out Provigil to wake you up and Lunesta or Ambien to go to sleep on the plane without prescriptions and all this. And it became a big thing because John Tester called for an investigation into Dr. Ronnie Jackson because John Tester, as the ranking member on the Veterans Affairs Committee, didn't want to see the VA be managed by a guy who never managed anything at all. Now handling, 1,100 hospitals and clinics, and he just didn't want. So Donald Trump went and trashed John Tester and vouched for Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who currently is under investigation by the Inspector General of the White House.
They said about him what they said about this great American doctor, Ronnie Jackson, an admiral in the Navy. He served 3 presidents. President Obama said he was fantastic. President Bush said he was fantastic. I say he's fantastic. This is a high-quality individual like they would love in Montana. And Tester started throwing out things that he's heard. Well, I know things about Tester that I could say, too. And if I said him, he'd never be elected again.
Listen, this man threatens everybody with empty threats. I mean, everything he does is an empty threat. Everything. This man folds so fast, it's unbelievable. He threatens to sue women. He never sues women. He threatens that he's, going to fight every lawsuit all the way to the end. He settles the Trump Fraud University, thing. $25 million. I mean, this man, he folds like a cheap tent every single time. You think about everything that I know the best people. I'm going to hire the best people, and everybody has to leave. Everybody's compromised. Everybody is enriching themselves. Everybody is colluding with Russians. Nobody is trustworthy. Everybody is under investigation. People are pleading guilty. It's just amazing. Now he's threatening to say something he knows about John. He knows nothing about John Tester, okay? Absolutely nothing. And let me tell you why you didn't want the estate tax to be increased. I mean, listen, these farmers that you're talking to in Montana, I got to tell you, only 330 people benefited from or actually paid the estate tax, okay? 330 people. Very, very, very large inheritance. You know what the threshold was? You could inherit as much as $11 million before Trump. Before Trump. You could inherit $11 million and pay zero tax. Trump thought that was too little. Why? Because he knows that he's going to be leaving, his ne'er-do-well kids more than 11. So now $22 million. Only the heirs of the wealthiest 2 out of every 1,000 estates face any estate tax. And that's and that was before he raised it to 22 million. I don't even know how many now. I think it's like 0.2%. It's unbelievable, okay? And then they pay about 17% on 11 million, not 40%. They pay like 17. This is so sick. 330 people were literally, and he's saying to these ranchers in Montana or to people who work in the copper mines in Butte, well, he's actually in Great Falls. He's saying to that, oh, well, now, because of me, you can pass 22 million. Who the hell there has 20? I mean, this is just so sick. He is such a liar. And that's why John Tester voted no against, increasing the amount that's, excluded from the estate tax from 11 million to 22 million. John Tester is the ranking member on the Senate. I got to tell you, before Trump went to Montana, Tester took out a full-page ad. Did you see that? Yeah, he took out a full-page ad in his local newspapers. And it said, "Welcome to Montana," and then in all caps, because Trump understands all caps, he will. "And thank you, President Trump, for supporting John's legislation to help veterans hold the VA accountable and get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government. Washington's a mess, but that's not stopping John Tester from getting things done for Montana." And he just blanketed the radio airwaves with a similar message all over the radio. All over the radio. So I got to know, this man, he went after John Tester so hard last night and just started, trashing this is what he's doing just ahead of naming a Supreme Court justice and just ahead of his lawyer, his personal attorney, probably making a deal with the Southern District of New York prosecutors to roll over on him. I mean, now remember this thing about Michael Cohen. This is really important. There's a lot of important things. Stormy Daniels' case is important, okay? Michael Cohen's case is important because Michael Cohen will be charged, and he will be charged. And he will be charged in New York State, okay? And the president cannot pardon a state crime. So keep that in mind as you listen to all this about Michael Cohen, right? But Michael Cohen, of course, there's a there because Michael Cohen not only is an attorney, but Michael Cohen is the president's personal attorney, and a showing of probable cause was signed off on by a judge who allowed for search warrants to be executed on Michael Cohen's law office, Michael Cohen's residence, and Michael Cohen's hotel where he's living. Why is he living in a hotel? Okay. So, obviously there's a there. Obviously there is, and all these things, and Summer Zervos, who nobody talks about, Gloria Allred's client, but she's moved to a different law firm now. But Summer Zervos is going to get to depose the president under oath as well, probably around January. All this is going on, and this president, who is a subject of Robert Mueller's investigation into Russia meddling, which the Senate bipartisan report concluded did happen, and that Putin had a preference for Donald Trump, is going to get to pick Monday night, 9 o'clock. He's treating it, first of all, like it's a reality TV show, okay? This is like, you're fired, you're hired, right? 9 o'clock Monday night, the president's going to make some announcement about whether it's Kavanaugh or Barrett, who belongs to a cult called People of Praise. And then he's going to, go to the NATO meeting and tell NATO they have to pay more, or he's not going to defend them anymore. I don't know what. And then go to Putin and say mission accomplished in private with no American in the room. And he's on the stump, like trashing moderate Democratic senators who only live and breathe to take care of veterans. I mean, that's what Tester is all about. Not my, I wouldn't, if I had a choice, I'd pick somebody more progressive than Tester. But Tester is all about the veterans, and I am one. So I'll be damned if I'm going to let this freaking Cadet Bone Spurs trash the work that Tester does on behalf of veterans by calling people names and saying, I got secret dirt on Tester and I was real. I love the veterans so much I was going to put Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who is also now under investigation. Pruitt's got 15 live investigation. I mean, really, this guy is, everything turned out so well. I mean, he's hired all the best people, right? Sean Spicer and Flynn and Scaramucci, who lasted, 10, 11 days. Kellyanne Conway, who says, well, there are alternative facts in the world, right? He's hired Manafort, who's, facing a trial now, 2 trials. He's got 2 ankle bracelets on. Flynn pled guilty. You know what I mean? How could it go wrong if he picked a Supreme Court justice or 2? He did such a great job got Betsy DeVos at education. Her brother is Eric Prince, who had a Seychelles meeting with Russians to open up a back channel to Donald Trump without the intelligence community knowing about it. What could go wrong having Donald Trump appointing judges? Holy shit. You think about that. This is why you have to listen to I know the best, and then watch who he hired and who's been fired and who's had to resign and who's under investigation and he's under investigation. He's under investigation. Maybe when Comey was there, they hadn't gotten that close, but subsequently, this president has become a subject of this Russia investigation, and everybody that pays attention knows it. I mean, this is just so sick. Malcolm Nance. I mean, and what the hell were the Republican senators going to Russia for on the 4th of July and tweeting from Russia? What the hell was that about? Well, some people in the intelligence community think that the Republicans are surrendering to Putin. They want a rigged election. They want Russia to meddle. This is really sick. But that's what Malcolm Nance, was talking about.
He's just going to lay down. I mean, we already know that based on his past statements. And he's correct. He has been preparing his entire life for this. I mean, he went to the Soviet Union in 1987 trying to get Trump hotels. We know that he was taking Russian money and was, selling real estate to them for years. We also know that in 2013, he met with the top 12 Russian oligarchs and received their version of events for over 2 hours. And since that time has been spouting it. And quite honestly, Donald Trump is going there to meet with his handler. I mean, he's going to meet with a guy that he has been worshiping and admiring for years, not just the last 2 years. And that doesn't bode well for the United States. I think he's going to lay down on this one, and I think that if they will raise Russian sanctions within months, if not just by executive fiat.
Oh! Everybody knows what Trump is going there for. He's going to get further instructions. He's going to find out how Vladimir Putin intends to insert himself into the 2018 elections, which are only 4 months away. Everybody gets it, and that's why the Republicans went there too. That was really sick. On the 4th of July, to be in an adversarial country, to be kissing Kislyak. Kislyak is a spy master, and that's who the Republicans met with, to watch Senator Richard Shelby from Alabama go kiss Russian ass. That was sick. That was sick and twisted, and it kind of went right under the radar because everybody's on vacation in the news. Everybody went on vacation. We're on vacation. Oh, my God. This is just so sick. So freaking twisted.
The president says things like Putin's fine. Putin's just fine. Journalists have died in Russia. Political opponents have died. Political opponents have been jailed. George Will has written a column about this summit, and he said if Trump's summit with Kim could foretell catastrophe with Putin, he said if he does as badly in his July 16th meeting with Vladimir Putin in Finland as he did with Kim Jong-un in Singapore, the consequences could be catastrophic. It is kind of remarkable. The president continues to downplay not just the effect that Russia has had in interference in other elections, but the idea that Vladimir Putin's okay and he's a good guy to befriend.
Yeah, and Donald Trump, obviously, in some way, shape, or form that is yet to be determined, is in debt to Vladimir Putin. Today, he normalized the KGB. He spoke as if being a KGB officer, a career officer, their motto was once KGB, always KGB. He runs that country with 4 top advisors who are ex-KGB, and he murders people. He invades our allies. He subverts American democracy. And Donald Trump today normalized him just as he normalized the Nazis in Charlottesville. This is very dangerous for American democracy. And to have 7 Republican senators go there to pave the way in this grand appeasement of Moscow only shows the Republican Party has surrendered to Russia. And this will hurt this American constitutional republic seriously. John Brennan was absolutely right.
Believe me.
I mean, what is this? What is going on with this fascism, this oligarchy, this kleptocracy that Donald Trump worships and has convinced Republicans can rig it so that they can win again and again and again? I mean, it's so scary. You know, you have the entire intelligence community, you have the Senate bipartisan, report now. Everybody understands so much of the dossier has been proven to be true. Everybody gets that Donald Trump is meeting his handler. Everybody understands that Donald Trump somehow is in debt to Vladimir Putin. Manafort was in debt also to Russian oligarchs. I mean, yesterday we brought up Poland. People woke up in Poland yesterday and said, oh my God, we just woke up in a country and we're not free anymore. That's how it happens. What could go wrong with Trump picking another Supreme Court nominee? What could go wrong? He hires all the best people, right? Untainted people.
Connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Well, I think that Donald Trump has really transformed the Republican Party. And this is certainly not the party that I grew up with in the 1980s under Ronald Reagan. It's not the party of Mitt Romney or John McCain or so many other Republicans, including some that I worked for. Donald Trump has really made this into a European-style nationalist party, sort of like the National Front in France. He has made demonization of immigrants a key part of his agenda, and he began his campaign in 2015 by calling Mexican immigrants rapists and murderers, and more recently he's been referring to Latin American immigrants as animals who breed and using all this other dehumanizing terminology. He's been, for a while he was trying to separate families and lock children of newly arrived immigrants in cages. He has catered to racism, for example, vilifying African American NFL players who kneel during the anthem to protest police brutality, praising white supremacist protesters in Charlottesville, and on and on and on. We all know the examples, and I think it's really just transformed the Republican Party, because the Republican Party has never said, no, we repudiate what Donald Trump is doing. In fact, the Republican Party has fallen in line behind him. And to me, the most dismaying statistic I've seen recently is the fact that while 2/3 of Americans denounced the barbaric and inhumane family separation policy, a majority of Republicans supported it. This is not the Republican Party I grew up with. This is not the Republican Party I want to belong to.
Wow, that's Max Boot, who writes for Foreign Policy magazine. Max Boot is like an old-fashioned neocon. It is interesting. Bill Kristol, Max Boot, what's his name, Steve Schmidt. Who's your friend, Scotty? Who's your friend? That was a Republican and is now all over the TV. Yeah, Rick Wilson. I mean, all of these. Huh? David Jolly, former Republican from Florida. I mean, all of these Republicans are, this is not the Republican Party we grew up in. I mean, I hate to tell you it is. It absolutely is the Republican Party you grew up with. This is the Republican Party that actually, advocated for war in Iraq. And when the torture stories came out, you guys still didn't move. And when, we found out that he lied about Iraq having weapons of mass destruction, you still didn't move. You defended Bush. You defended all this stuff that went on in, Gitmo and the torture in Abu Ghraib and the invasion of Iraq and the invasion of Afghanistan with nothing to show for it after 17 years. But for some strange reason, the racism of Donald Trump is so virulent that even they have to denounce it. It's so in your face. It's so, above board, and it's so lunatic that they are literally leaving the Republican Party, which I never thought I would live to see the day. Because those people, the Max Boots and the Rick Wilsons and the David Jollies and, all those people that voted for Iraq and were supporting all these wars and were, covering up torture and black site prisons and everything else, they have finally opened their eyes and realized that this party didn't just become the party of Donald Trump. This party has been leading up to Donald Trump for such a long time. When Ronald Reagan started his campaign, he started it in Philadelphia, Mississippi, as a signal, as a dog whistle to white people that he hated black people as much as you. Do you know what I mean? Calling people welfare queens. All of this, the racist commercials with the white hands, that were crumpling up a job application because the black hands got the job. This has all been there. Now, all of a sudden, for some reason, they're all seeing it. And that's good. That's really good. But in retrospect, these guys really do, they are apologizing, but they're still saying it's not the party that I grew up with. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Max. It is the party of war. It is the party of racism. It is the party of invasion. It is the party of inequality. It is the party of tax cuts for the wealthy. It's the party of ignoring veterans when they come home. Sorry, but that is your party. But I accept your apology. Now, I got to say, this isn't just about suddenly you have a president who calls Mexicans rapists. This isn't just about suddenly you have a president who is separating mothers from their children by saying MS-13 because he can't tell the difference between a tattooed wonder boy and a 24-year-old mother with a 5-year-old. They're incapable of telling the difference. But this has been going on for a really long time. You've had inflammatory language used to define ethnic minorities in this country, assigning them fictional characteristics, super predator. You've had this for a very, very long time. I guess using words like infestation and rapist and murder, like being that bold about your racism, I guess that was a turnoff for them. They preferred the, little dog whistles, the welfare queen references and the, but I, they're all, switching parties. And, I'm grateful for it, I got to say. But when I hear like Max Boot, my God. I've been subscribing to Foreign Policy Magazine for a really, really stinking long time. And let me tell you something. These conservative writers that write for them, they have always supported this. They have looked the other way. They've pretended it wasn't going on. They advocate for war. They hear dehumanizing language like terrorists and, they're all terrorists. And we need to invade Iraq, even though 15 of the 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. One of them was Lebanese. 2 of them were from the United Arab Emirates. Do you know what I mean? They didn't have anything to say about it. They were fine with all of that. But now he's calling people, vermin and parasites. And I guess they're seeing the rise of this right-wing extremism all across Europe now. Max Boot referred to the French party, the Nationalist Party in France. I was referring yesterday to the Law and Justice Party in Poland, which is anything but. They are authoritarians. They have given the power to fire Supreme Court justices to the Congress, which is all made up of Law and Justice Party members. You've got Italy. You've got Matteo Salvini. The Italian interior minister is speaking of mass cleansing and cleansing entire parts of Italy. And of course, he's going after gypsies. the Roma gypsies. I bet, Americans don't even understand what that means. But, they're saying, they have children that have been taught to steal and we must cleanse. You got the Hungarian Prime Minister, Viktor Orban. He's whipped up fear of foreign immigrants who don't even exist. They don't even exist in Hungary. They don't have any problem in Hungary. Same thing, so I got to tell you, maybe they're starting to regret what they endorsed for so many years, and yay, finally, yay. But, I hate to say, that makes me so right for so long and them so wrong for so long. But yay, they're on the right side now because they see history. History is not going to be kind to those people who support ethnic cleansing, to people who refer to other people in dehumanizing ways, like infestation, which means extermination. You have an infestation, you're going to call an exterminator. You see, this is what it's all about. But they were prepared to accept it for a very long time. But I guess they understand in the longer term there will be a different price to pay. There will be authoritarian a government springing up all over Europe as Donald Trump seeks to break up NATO, as Donald Trump allows the Russians to keep Crimea and to go ahead and invade other neighbors and to hack Estonia and to hack, us and to hack Macron in France. This is unbelievable. This is becoming a global monster. And I guess these neocons are finally recognizing it. Except for, there are some hangers on, like Paris Gennard, the face of African American support for Donald Trump. He's Donald Trump's African American. Oh, my African American. Remember that? Yeah.
Well, I think that, Max has actually just spouted off a lot of falsehoods in his mischaracterization of President Trump and his positions. But I will say that for every establishment...
Can you name one falsehood from what I just said? Can you name one falsehood in what I just said? You accuse me of falsehoods. Can you please list those falsehoods for me?
I sure will, Max. The first
He's not catering to racism and xenophobia. Is that a falsehood?
So, Max, the first falsehood that you said was that the president referred to Hispanics as animals. I think that what he was talking about, and he was specifically talking about, was these MS-13 gang members. I don't care where they come from.
No, that's his cover story. It was far from clear that referring to MS-13. He uses dehumanizing terminology to refer to immigrants. It's not just animals. He also says they infest and breed. That is the kind of language that ethnic cleansers have used in the past. That is a fact. That is not a falsehood.
So I can go on, but I'm going to use my time to talk about things that I think are important.
No, you accuse me of falsehoods. I want to hear a falsehood. Give me a falsehood. You accuse me of falsehoods. Give me a falsehood.
The president did not talk about all Hispanics or people coming across the border as rapists. He did not call all of them rapists.
Yes, he did. He said they are sending us rapists and murderers and a few good people.
Yeah,
that's what he said in announcing his presidential campaign.
Right.
You can't change the record. You can look it up.
First of all, Max, I watched it live. I understand exactly what the president said. But
you're mischaracterizing it then, because I characterized it completely accurately.
Max, let me say something. This isn't your show.
Oh, gee. It always devolves into personal attack, into, hey, Max, shut up. Listen, he's making amends is what Max Boot is doing, because Max Boot is a neocon, and he has been for years and years. And to hear him talk more like me than like them is a relief. People are snapping out of it because they understand that this president dehumanizes women. This man dehumanizes Hispanic mothers. This man dehumanizes African Americans. He calls various black countries shitholes. This man is a fascist at heart, a demagogue at best, and in league with every authoritarian in the world, from Kim Jong-un to Vladimir Putin to the Hungarian President Orban to Marie Le Pen to the Law and Justice Party in Poland that just shut down the Supreme Court in Poland. People are waking up there going, oh my God, we don't live in a free country anymore. And, you got the Italian interior minister characterizing Roma gypsies as being the problem because they don't really have an immigration problem. So they had to pick somebody. I mean, this is just insanity. And it's spreading all around the world as our president seeks to divide up Western alliances that have kept us from World War III with these autocrats. And I guess the neocons sort of understand that there is no answer. There was no military solution to 9/11. There was no military solution. There is no military solution to North Korea. There is no military solution to almost every. And it's time for them to understand that we now have a president who gets that there's no military solution to any of these problems. And so he's surrendering to the most profitable, thing he can see for himself. And that would be Russia, which is a petrol state, a kleptocracy, an authoritarian communist government in China, who, by the way, is supplying North Korea with oil, with food. We have sanctions. Everybody go, we have sanctions on North Korea. And, we didn't take those off. No, but we stopped our military exercises to appease North Korea, who is still enriching uranium faster than they did before Trump went to Singapore. Satellite imagery clearly shows that he's building, he's enriching uranium and building ballistic missile facilities like really, really fast. And Trump actually said out loud, well, China's breaching the sanctions, but you know what? I don't really care. Because Kim Jong-un's denuclearizing. And he's not. We have a president who is literally picking autocrat murderers who murder their own people, murder journalists. Listen, he's going to talk to Vladimir Putin. He said last night, well, Vladimir Putin, he's just fine. He's just fine. We're all people. He's just a person. He's a murderer. Remember Skripal and his daughter Julia, who were poisoned with a nerve agent on their doorknob? Yeah, well, there's two more collateral, there's collateral damage. Two more people were poisoned by that same nerve agent in the freaking UK. And Trump is trashing the UK. Trump is trashing Germany. Trump is trashing, but he loves Poland, who just went completely and totally autocratic. He loves Marine Le Pen, who lost to Macron, and the Russians hacked Macron and released his documents. And now he's going to go tell Putin it's perfectly okay to attack the United States. It's perfectly okay to invade your neighbors. And, you want to do some nerve agent attacks, fine. Same with, what's-his-face, Kim Jong-un. Nerve agents on his half-brother in an airport by a woman wearing an LOL t-shirt. It's all okay. They're just people. There's some false equivalencies here. And the only reason why he does it is because he believes in autocracy. He believes in kleptocracy. He believes in fascism. The Russians have shown him how profitable it is, and Trump believes them. And he's been going there since the 80s, and they have talked to him and convinced him.
Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
Hey!
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
And then, of course, we have North Korea, where, do you notice, 8 months? So during the Obama administration, it seemed like a missile a week. I mean, a lot of missiles going up, a lot of rockets going up, a lot of nuclear testing. They thought there was an earthquake the size of something they've never tested before. They said, where is it? Oh, it's in Korea someplace. They said, why don't you check nuclear weapons? It was a nuclear weapon, all right? So since the rhetoric stopped, we had very tough rhetoric. Would you say that was a little tough, right? So remember, they said, he's too tough. He's going to cause a war. It's too tough. Now they say, he's too nice. He's too nice. He's too nice. I got along very well with Chairman Kim. I got along very well. That's a good thing that I got along well. Now, what hasn't happened in 8 months? In 8 months, first of all, we got our prisoners back before I even went, right? And I didn't pay $1.8 billion, by the way, in cash. We didn't pay $1.8, right?
No one did.
We paid slightly less than 1.8. We paid nothing. And yet, it was a very smart deal for North Korea. Goodwill is very important.
There is no deal.
But we signed a wonderful paper.
A paper.
Saying they're going to denuclearize.
Which is not happening.
It's going to all happen.
When?
But now, you're back. I was back, I think, 6 days. Why hasn't it started? Why? I mean, these guys Obama was very close to going to war.
Oh, my God.
You have 30 million people in Seoul. It's 30 miles off the border. And that's a tough border. Thousands of cannons, they call them. These are big, big guns. I'm not even talking about nuclear. You could have lost 30, 40, 50 million people. You could have had a war like you haven't had in a long time. And guess what you have now? 8 months, no nuclear testing, no missiles, no anything. Mike Pompeo is over there right now. And they say, he, meaning me, these guys, the crooked press, they are so disarmed.
Oh, my God.
They are so disarmed.
Yes, everybody's conspiring against you, all of us.
Fake news. They're fake news media.
Yes, only
So what do they
Fox.
say all the time? Because I didn't give anything up. What do they say all the time? They say, he went there. I went there. I went to Singapore. We had a meeting. By agreeing to meet, they can't come up with anything else. Like, I didn't give like Clinton and like Obama would have. Obama couldn't meet. Now they say, well, Obama couldn't meet. They wouldn't see him.
What?
So I didn't have like Clinton where they gave him billions and billions of dollars and got nothing. Okay?
What?
So they couldn't find anything. So what do? They say he met. I met. That's what we lost, folks. He met. Now, by the way, Obama would have loved to have met. They wouldn't see him. They wouldn't see him.
Why does he lie like that? We had an agreed framework under Bill Clinton that lasted and lasted for a really, really long time until Bush came along and put them on the axis of evil. And then they said, screw you. And they started enriching uranium again. But they wouldn't see Obama. Obama said he would go. And the entire Fox News team started trashing Obama. What is... And Bill Clinton did meet with Kim Jong-il. Madeleine Albright met with Kim Jong-il, the father. What? He just makes crap up. He's just such a sick, twisted fuck.
Would you, as president, meet with the leaders of a country like North Korea? Obama extraordinarily said, I'd meet with him.
Senator Obama made his intentions crystal clear on the campaign trail.
I will meet, not just with our friends, but with our enemies.
President Obama likes talking to dictators.
He would meet with some of these madmen without any preconditions.
I'm going to reach out to these crazy people around the world and try to get things done.
Yeah.
I think that's a mistake.
Obama is bowing and scraping before dictators. What is Team Obama doing establishing formal contacts with these people?
A remarkable turnaround in relations between two historic adversaries.
The commander-in-chief's leadership is now leading to a major foreign policy breakthrough.
Another stunning Donald Trump breakthrough.
President Trump scoring a big win.
It's time to celebrate a great victory when it happens.
President Trump proves the experts wrong again and scores a stunning diplomatic triumph.
How about this? The fact that all he wants is to get them back to the table as a precondition. Not, I'll give up. If you give up your nuclear weapons, then we'll talk.
Why would the administration think that this is a group they could do business with?
I have no idea.
Those who hate us will always hate us. And the hatred for America is never going to go away.
It is a definite win for the president.
And it's a huge win for this country.
It's breathtaking, it's audacious, it's bold. It will be historic. I'm juiced about it.
It'll be magnificent for the people of Korea.
Oh, shut up, Ali. You're the reason why we have a problem in Central America.
Leaders of terrorist nations like Iran and North Korea without preconditions. Wow. The world will probably be a little bit safer. The media should be giving President Trump credit for that.
I'm not sure there's any real discussing issues with Kim Jong-un.
He may be the one president who would actually do this, who would go meet with the North Korean leader.
Look, it's a bad idea for the president to speak to Kim Jong-un.
Why wait till the end of May? Let's do this by the end of March.
The current president truly believes that he's the chosen one, cannot deal with criticism.
We are really in danger of living in a sort of pretty little dream world where Barack Obama thinks the power of his personality is going to have this incredible transformative impact on these crazy men all over the world.
President Trump made the decision himself to meet face-to-face with Kim Jong-un.
This guy has a very unique quality of leadership.
He is so charming. He can deal with people. He can get along with people. I think that this will only work out well.
The idea, which has been fanciful from the start, that we could talk North Korea out of its nuclear weapons program.
You cannot make such a promise, not when you're dealing with these madmen who do want to destroy America.
Is he going to stop on his way in Oslo to get the Nobel Peace Prize?
If it works, he should get the Nobel Peace Prize. Obviously.
You give that man the Nobel Prize. There's no question.
But let's be, I mean, the chances of that are right around zero, I think.
Oh, my God.
It's amazing. It's such a propaganda machine. Obama says he would talk to Iran, and he did, and he made a nuclear deal with Iran. Oh, that sucks. That's bad. They're madmen. Iran, oh my God, the mullahs and the Ayatollah. Oh, really? He's going to talk to Rouhani. He's going to make a deal. What the hell? And it's going to have, inspections, coercive inspections. Oh, well, we must pull ourselves out of the Iran deal. And as soon as Donald Trump becomes president, pulls us out of the Iran deal, Iran starts enriching uranium again because Obama sucks. But Trump goes to North Korea, where they are enriching uranium, after he leaves, where they have he gave Kim Jong-un everything Kim Jong-un wanted for his people. Gave him a propaganda reel-to-reel tape that he plays on state TV saying America bowed down to Kim Jong-un and we were right to have nuclear weapons and this is our big protection and this is why you're starving and we're going to continue to starve because we need more nuclear weapons. And Donald Trump, cowered in front of Kim Jong-un, who is your god, right? All that happened. Donald Trump suspended military exercises, which we do every year, with South Korea. South Korea is literally shaking in their shoes because they don't think that President Trump is trustworthy with regard to the nuclear umbrella, meaning that they protect South Korea. We protect South Korea. Japan is super scared because they don't trust Trump to put us to keep them under our nuclear umbrella. The whole world is like recoiling in horror about what's going on in North Korea. But when Obama said he would go and talk to he was Satan incarnate. He was the devil. He thinks through his he's the chosen one. He thinks through his sheer person. And you know what else is interesting? You remember when they said Obama is only winning because he's made himself a celebrity? Remember that? Obama was a celebrity. And that's why he won. You got a reality TV star who picks the worst people on the planet to fill his cabinet, to fill his government, people who don't even last for 5 minutes without pleading guilty to some damn thing as national security advisors, right? People who are compromised as his campaign manager, compromised by Russia. And this guy, a reality TV star, has declared, his companies have gone belly up 6 damn times. He's the chosen one. He's not a celebrity. He's a reality TV star. This is sick. This is insane. And if Obama did it, it was bad. And if Trump does it, it's a breakthrough. Oh my God, they just lie. Ronald Reagan didn't win Wisconsin, but I did. That's a lie too. We got 200 bodies back. That's a lie too. How many lies? Before you say, stop lying to me already. Just shut up. Oh, he did? Oh, too bad. Phil in Fairbanks, Alaska.
Hi there.
Hello.
I'm curious as a millennial who isn't, too far to one side or another. I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on what is in store for millennials who don't like what they see really with just the bombardment on the media of just the lunacy that comes out of Washington these days. And just what's in store for somebody who just really wants to stay more the middle of the road. They just want things to work, and they're not really sure where to find the truth. They're not really sure where to find...
Well, that's a sad statement. I mean, read a newspaper, for God's sake. They're truthful.
Mm-hmm.
Read the Washington Post every day. Read the New York Times every day. And if you think that it's too, it's got an agenda, it doesn't. Read the Wall Street Journal. Just read a newspaper, for God's sake. What is the problem? Everything with you guys is online. Everything with you guys is social media. And then it turns you upside down and inside out and you get all confused. That's because you're not reading a newspaper.
Sure. Well, and then it gets, especially on social media, there came a point on my Facebook where I realized, I'm better off just unfollowing every single piece of what looks like yellow journalism on both sides, because you look at this and you think this is insane. There's got to be a
What
better
yellow
way.
journalism are you not following on my side?
Just about everything from, Now This and Attention and Vox and Mike. And then on the other side, it didn't get much better either.
Well, they're all fact-checked. They are. Vox is amazing. That is real journalism. And so is, who else did you say? Now This is just great videos. And they show what he said and what he says now and what he said then and what he says now. That's not yellow journalism. Yellow journalism is Fox News. When Obama was talking about going to North Korea, he was some sort of a satanic figure. And when Trump goes to North Korea, it's a breakthrough. I mean, the only fake news that is out there on the TV is Fox News. Your local news is not lying to you, okay? Unless it's a Sinclair radio, Sinclair-owned TV station, and then they are all reading from a national script, a corporate script. So I would
up here in Alaska, there's hardly any TV anyways, so it's already.
What do you mean? There's no TV in Alaska?
Well, there is, but there's not. There isn't much on it. Up here in Fairbanks, it's about the edge of nowhere, and then outside of here.
I've been there. It's not the edge of nowhere. What do you mean you have no TV? I was watching TV. You have CNN.
Usually we have up here just Netflix whenever we have good internet. It's just so for the most part on social media.
Okay, so here's what you do: you subscribe to the Washington Post, or you subscribe to the New York Times, or you subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. I don't really care which one you do, but you get a subscription and you read it. And then when people come at you with fake facts, stuff that the Heritage Foundation makes up, stuff that these right-wing groups that are headed by ophthalmologists that preach white nativism, whenever you see something like that, then you shoot them the Wall Street Journal article that's been fact-checked, where they have ombudsmen who do real fact-checking, and you just say, read this. This is real.
So for people that are in their early 20s and they just think, you know what, I'm just going to focus on my school, on my career.
Read a newspaper. Make it part of your life.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Hey, what is the big damn deal of reading a newspaper? You can read it online, for God's sake, but you have to subscribe. It's like 99 cents for the first 12 weeks or some such thing. Start reading the newspaper. Reading a newspaper is pretty freaking hot. It is. You see a girl reading the New York Times, that's the girl you want to marry. Trust me. You see a girl reading the Wall Street Journal, that's the girl you want to marry. You see a guy reading the Washington Post, you want to talk to him. You see some guy, walking around with a hammer and a sickle or a "Don't tread on me" sign, you run for the hills. You really think that person is going to be able to support? You see somebody that's, spouting statistics from the Center for Immigration Studies, which is a nativist, right-wing, lunatic fringe brainchild of a guy named John Tanton, the father of modern nativist anti-immigration, they're infesting our country sentiment. Run away. Run very far, run very fast. But if you see somebody sitting in a Starbucks reading a Wall Street Journal, go introduce yourself. That is a solid person. That is somebody who may have different, political views than me, but will absolutely be able to talk about them. I am so serious. Well, I don't know what it is with you people who don't read newspapers that are all confused about what's real and what's not. Read a freaking newspaper. Read USA Today for all I care. I don't care. Read a newspaper.
Because some evangelicals.
The
Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
So John Tester says one thing when he's in Montana, but I will tell you, I'm testament to it. He does the exact opposite when he goes to Washington. A vote for John Tester is a vote for Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and the new leader of the Democrat Party, Maxine Waters. Where have they gone?
What?
John Tester voted no on repealing Obamacare.
Thank God.
And even though we got a little surprise vote that evening, you all remember that evening, somebody came in with a thumbs down after campaigning for years that he was going to repeal and replace. But that's okay, because we, for the most part, have already done it. And we have great health care coming out, and it just came out 2 weeks ago.
What?
And we got rid of the individual mandate and lots of other things.
Oh, my God. You know, that's less than a minute. And how many lies were in there? First of all, he attacks John McCain. Poor John McCain has brain cancer. My deepest fantasy is that John McCain manages to stabilize his condition and comes to Washington and votes against whatever Supreme Court nominee this president puts up, because this man picks all the worst people, right? And wouldn't it be great? Because we would forgive John McCain for Sarah Palin. All would be forgiven. Like I forgive Max Boot, and I forgive Rick Wilson, and I forgive, David Jolly, and I forgive all these neocons who, the Bill Cristols of the world. I forgive them all because they have finally denounced republicanism as being a scourge on working people and on African Americans and on Jews and on minorities of all kinds, that it produces nothing but angst and hatred and poor economic conditions. They trash the economy every time they're in charge of it, and then we're left to pick up the pieces. This freaking tax cut, let me just tell you this, okay? Here was the best of what Paul Ryan promised you would get. This was the best he could do after they passed it.
The Tax Cut and Jobs Act will deliver real relief for people in the middle, people who are also striving to get there. With this plan, the typical family of four will save $1,182 a year on their taxes. For many families, having an additional $1,182 more will make a real difference.
Will it?
That $1,182 more covers about a year's worth of gas for your car.
No.
It covers your family's phone bill for the year, depending on how much data, of course, your kids use.
Oh, my God. We gave $1.3 trillion away to corporate meisters who are more profitable than they ever thought they'd be, and gave them an additional reduction in their tax rate. GE paid zero before the tax cut. I mean, what are they? We're going to owe them money by the time Trump gets unbelievable. The best that they could tell you was you were going to get $1,000. You were going to get $1,000. Well, I got news for you. The gas prices have gone up so much that out of your $1,000 minus now $335, because that's how much gas has increased. According to Gas Buddy, it went from $2.18 a gallon to $2.61 in July. Here it's $3. It's over $3. I paid $3. I'd get, I need, Supreme 93 octane. So I paid $3.50 a gallon. Okay, but I'll do the lowest increase. $2.61. Okay. So minus $335 from your $1,000 if you make, up to $75,000 a year, right? And then your health care costs, because he did not replace. Because there is no health care. He lied right there. Oh, and we have a great new health care plan coming out, and it came out 2 weeks ago. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. Don't you think that if I saw a health care plan, if you saw a health care plan, we'd be talking about a health? There is no plan. He has no plan. There's no plan. His plan was to just bring up health care to trash John McCain in his dying days. That's sick. But the health insurance plans are setting their rates right now for October. So far, it looks like a 10% increase at the minimum. Okay, so that's another $408 a year you'll pay on your health care premium. So that's, what, $743 from your $1,000? It just, I mean, and then prescription drug costs have gone through the roof. There's your $1,000 wiped out. But the people who are making over $1 million a year, just $1 million, they're not even the top 1/10 of 1%. They're the top 1%. They get a $60,000. They get a $60,000 break this year. Are you freaking kidding? And that was the best they could tell you after they passed it. See, before they passed it, they were telling you, oh, you know, all these and look at the bonuses. Well, the bonuses have stopped, haven't they? Yeah. Unemployment ticked up a little bit today. Still not too bad, but he had nothing to do with it. What did he pass? Nothing. Took away collective bargaining, though, or tried to with the Supreme Court, which is the reason why wages grew, as of today, 0.2%. Yeah. And under Obama, wages did grow at 3.7%, which was still too little. This man is dangerous, and he's evil, and people applaud their own demise. I've never seen anything like it unless I watch the History Channel, and you know what I'm talking about. I've never seen people cheer their own demise like this, cheer their loss of freedom, cheer their loss of assembly, cheer their loss of belonging to any group that they want to belong to, whether it's a union. Oh, yeah. I just can't. He's such a P.T. Barnum man. He's got people out there. Suckers are born every single minute, and he knows it. This is so disgusting. And, oh, by the way, here's another little factoid before I forget to tell it to you. You know, the court has ordered the reunification. I hate that word. It sounds like, Kim. It sounds like a Mooney church, you know, the reunification church. Kim. What's his name? Reverend Sung Young Moon. He owns what? The Washington Examiner? Is that his? Which one does he own? He owns one of those Washington Times. Yeah, the Reverend Sung Young Moon of the Unification Church owns the Washington Times. Stay away from that newspaper, just saying. But the court has imposed a deadline to get mothers their children back who were separated for asking for asylum, which is no crime, none, not even a misdemeanor. Not even a misdemeanor. And they told us that 2,300 children were separated. Turns out today they say, well, it's more like 3,000. And we don't know where they are. Some of the parents have already been deported, and we still have their kids, and we don't know where they belong. And we destroyed the records. Here's what it says in the New York Times, a newspaper. Records linking children to their parents have disappeared and in some cases have been destroyed, according to two officials at the Department of Homeland Security, leaving authorities struggling to identify connections between family members. Now they're talking about, oh, well, we'll have to swab everybody's cheek and we'll have to do DNA test and we have to go to the court and we have to ask the court for an extension of bringing these families and making them whole because we shipped their children thousands of miles away. We don't know why. DHS didn't talk to HHS. And this guy at the Office of Refugee Resettlement, Scott Lloyd, didn't know what he was doing. He had no plan. He didn't put, you go to a hospital, they're going to put a wristband on you the second they admit you. The second they admit you. Okay? And every time they give you an aspirin, they're going to scan that thing so they can bill the hell out of you, right? For an aspirin, that's now $4. For an Excedrin. For a Midol. For a ibuprofen. They're going to scan you, right? But they didn't put anything at all on these children. Nothing. No, they didn't even give. The Office of Refugee Resettlement did not establish procedures. No, they did not. And why? Because the president makes really bad decisions. The president decided to let Jeff Sessions make this announcement of zero tolerance before there was a plan in place, before there was notice given. No notice, no planning about how to deal with separating mothers and children. No plan. As a result, this is the paper, I'm reading the paper, the parents and children appeared in federal computers to have no connection to one another. Next Tuesday is the deadline this court set for bringing these children under 5 back to their parents. And they can't do it. July 26th is the deadline for other children over the age of 5 to be reunited with their parents. They can't do it. They're going to file for an extension. Now, if that's fake news, then you tell me, how many reunions have you seen? Why didn't the president have a plan? Why didn't the president notify any of these organizations that they needed to have a plan? He needed to read the plan. He needed to look at the plan. I mean, and now you're going to let him pick a Supreme Court judge? You know, you're sitting there deluding yourself into the idea that Trump is sitting somewhere right now poring over Kavanaugh's decisions and his dissents and his court rulings, and Amy Barrett, she has no court ruling. She's never been a judge until Trump just recently put her on the 7th Circuit. She has no decisions to read. What she does have is articles that she wrote for law reviews and things like that, where she says she'd have to recuse herself from the death penalty case because of her religious beliefs. She couldn't possibly. She also has decisions where she said, precedent, schmecedent. Screw it. Let's make new law at the Supreme Court. Let's be activist judges. Just because women who are 50 years old or younger have never lived in a world where if their contraception failed and they weren't in a position to have a child, they could go and they could take Plan B, or they could go and they could have a procedure and not be pregnant 5 seconds from now. Just because no woman in this country under the age of 55, let's say, has ever, lived in a world where that wasn't an option for her. That's called reliance on the law. That is also a factor in deciding whether or not a Supreme Court decision should stand, whether or not people have relied on it for all these years. Yeah, she says it doesn't matter if people rely on it. She said precedent doesn't really matter. He picks the worst people. He makes the worst decisions. He doesn't plan for any of the fallout for anything that he does, including these children. So guess what they're doing now? And if I'm telling you fake news, then this won't happen. But it's already happening. So Health and Human Services deployed hundreds of federal workers to comply with the federal judge in San Diego's injunction. And they are going crazy trying to figure out whose children is this? Whose child is this? Whose child is that? And the kids under 5, some of them are nonverbal. They don't speak yet. 3,000 children, 100 of them under the age of 5, thousands of miles away from their parents, shipped to shelters and places in Detroit and New York. And this is insane. And so yesterday they said, well, we'll do DNA testing, which is why he was riffing on the DNA test and decided that in his riffing mind, he would force Elizabeth Warren to take a DNA test and pay her $1 million if she was an American Indian. That's why it was top of mind for him. And then he sent Mike Pompeo over to North Korea with an Elton John CD of Rocket Man. He thinks he's being funny and cute. That's why he riffed like that last night, because that's what he's thinking about. He's thinking about now 3,000 kids have to have DNA tests because they had no plan. Why would we trust this man to do anything? 5 years old in jail. These kids are Some children under 5 have already been moved to immigration jails that were nearest the shelters where the other children are being held. So you've got 5-year-olds that were taken from the shelters. God only knows who's taking care of these 5-year-olds. But they moved them to the jails now, immigration jails near the shelters, which are nowhere near the parents. No pathway was in place as of Thursday for what will happen after the reunifications for families released from custody on bond or other conditions. Some parents and children will presumably have been moved several states away from their support networks or extended families. They have no money for food.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Man, this is going fast. Really, really fast. All right, Reza.
Yes, Randi, good afternoon.
Hello.
Randi, first of all, I like to share one thing. I never refer to our national jack-o'-lantern with the term president. Never.
Well, he is, Reza. We don't like it, but he is.
Yeah, but I never paired the name of that jack-o'-lantern with the presidency.
I understand what you're saying, but he is the president. He is. And that's scarier.
Yeah.
That's scarier than ignoring that he's president.
Okay, but anyway, I call him jack-o'-lantern always. Number 2.
Well, I call him Twitler, but...
Oh, no, that's a little too much for my taste. But let me share with you. I wish Secretary Clinton stayed with the term basket of, do you remember the basket of what he called the Trumpies? Basket of intolerant, not
deplorables.
Okay, yes. And I honestly, she should have stayed with that, because when I see he talks about immigrants and those people holler and happy, and these are deplorable people because they don't have no feeling toward other human beings that different than they are.
No, and it's worse than that. I mean, now you see, families, little babies being taken away from their mothers.
Yes.
And they're cheering that too. So these are people that have bigger problems than you could possibly imagine. And the sad part is that they vote.
Yeah, sadly, they are also, as you call them, I have called them also trumpet or the trumpet cult.
Oh, well,
they are cult member because no logic work with them.
That's true. That's true. They'll do anything to defend their dear leader. They are a cult. They are cult-like. I mean, you could present anything to them. I mean, Brett and I were talking because Brett's got a friend, okay, who is a Trumpanzee, and he says, he'll tell him, but Trump lies. His friend will say, yeah, tell me what lies he tells. So I said, Brett told me, says, 200, corpses came back from, North Korea. No corpses came back from North Korea. We didn't receive any bodies, but yet he's standing. And his friend will say, where did you get that? Where did you get that? And if you tell him you read a newspaper, he'll say, it's fake news. And what's really weird is there is only one television channel that is completely and utterly fake, and that is Fox. That is pure propaganda. That is pure garbage. Nothing that they say, makes it through a fact check. I mean, nothing that they rely on. Even their sources are hate groups. You know what I mean? Like they'll say the Center for Immigration Studies. Well, when you look up the Center for Immigration Studies, you find out they're a hate group. You find out that is a white nativist ophthalmologist who suddenly is an immigration specialist, who suddenly understands economics, or that Bill Clinton outlawed, in 1996, we did welfare reform. No illegal in this country receives welfare. But whatever. There's only one fake news channel. Just shun it. Just leave it out of your life, for starters, and then read a newspaper to find out if the news channel that you're choosing, whether it's your local news or it's CNN or it's MSNBC, is telling you the truth. Read a newspaper, a real one. Like I said, I don't care if it's USA Today, which, they've got an opinion page that's pretty far to the right. But I don't care. Read it. But read the articles. I don't care if you read the New York Times, Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal. They have a very right-wing opinion page, but it's sort of moving away from this, conservative ideology, because they realize it's bringing totalitarianism. It's bringing authoritarianism. It's bringing kleptocracy. The transfer of wealth through this tax cut, which is the only major piece of legislation this man has been able to get through Congress, because Congress wanted, to repay their donors with, billions of our dollars, trillions, $1 trillion of our dollars. So, that's the only piece of legislation that they've been able to, get through. Nothing on immigration, nothing on health care, didn't repeal or replace. Certainly there is no health care plan. There is no wall. There is no infrastructure plan. And he said he was leaving infrastructure to the second year, which he's already in, because it was so easy. Remember, it was all going to be, infrastructure was a piece of cake. Nothing has happened. So if the newspaper is lying, tell me, are they lying that nothing has happened? Because nothing has happened. The only thing that they were able to do is separate babies from mothers by declaring that there was some border crisis. There is no border crisis. There just isn't. The reason why we have people here without papers is visa overstays. That's it. And people who are here illegally pay taxes, but they don't get Social Security, and they don't get welfare. We don't even have welfare. We have SNAP. They don't qualify for SNAP. They don't qualify for Medicaid. They don't get Medicare. They don't get Social Security. They don't get the Children's Health Insurance Program. They don't get disability. They don't get SNAP. But I will tell you this. Hispanics as a population is about 10% of our country. African Americans, as we all know, about 11% of our country. So these are small numbers of people. White people, big number, huge number. 40% of white people get welfare. But they're going to have you believe that all these tax dollars that we collect from working illegals is somehow bad for America. We collect billions. I think $23 billion. I can check, but I think it's $23 billion that they pay in. They get nothing back. Here's what they may be eligible for. If you go to an emergency room and you're illegal, they can't turn you away. If you go to school, they can't turn you away. And WIC for infants. Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for women, infants, and children, WIC. That's it. That's it. That means that undocumented immigrants don't get welfare. And they keep telling you this. They're going to keep. So go check it out. Joe in Tucson.
Hi, Randy.
Hi.
Yeah, I was also kind of freaking out about Trump's wonderful declaration of potential war with Venezuela, like we don't have enough on the table.
Oh,
Seems
well,
pretty reckless.
Venezuela has a lot of oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I know. No wonder, right?
It's gone full-fledged authoritarian too. There, his idea. He actually called together his generals, who are all gone now. saying he wanted to invade Venezuela because he wanted his Grenada. He wanted, what Ronald Reagan had with Grenada. He wanted his Falkland Islands that Margaret Thatcher had to look strong. This is what he wanted to do. He wanted to invade Venezuela.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they're abandoning the petro conversion on the dollar and kind of going with the China plan and the Russian conversion on the for petro dollar. They're converting over to the other side, so it never ends well. And but these are all like these little dictator tricks, and it's just I don't know. This guy's just weird. I think people are sick of him, but
I do too. I'm looking today at the numbers of women who have peeled off. He only has 32% support from women. Those 32% of women. I promise you they're living and breathing because they want to live in a world where coat hangers are now, family planning.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've seen the mission creep in terms of all that writing that's been on the wall. But, when I kind of look at how we always are faced with total panic mode, on being on the Democratic side. And, I don't know. This is what... not running with a plan and not running with we should have the most fertile green pastures of political growing turf that there ever was.
I think we do. I think that telling ourselves we don't is kind of damaging. I think I was also looking today at the generic ballot, which is kind of the best indicator, and it's any Democrat is plus 10.
Yeah.
So I think we will see Congress change hands, and I think we will see some checks on this man. I think that they will put together a health care plan. I think they will put together an immigration package. I know that there's bipartisan legislation on immigration. I know that there's a bipartisan plan that would include a public option. I know that there are, all these bills that can't make it to the floor because Paul Ryan won't let them come to the floor, because Mitch McConnell won't let them come to the floor. And there are bipartisan solutions to a lot of these problems. And the more that President Trump talks, the less support he's going to get. And if there's a midterm and it's a rout and they see, this is why so many of them are retiring. But if they see that this president has no coattails, all of a sudden they're going to be willing to work with any Democrat that, gives them any piece of legislation for their staff to read. It's all going to happen. Now, Trump can sit there and say he wants to veto this or that. But when people are working together in a bipartisan way, and when the committee chairmen are Democrats, and when the Speaker of the House and the Senate Majority Leader is a Democrat, and they can introduce these pieces of legislation, then you've got a chance to actually start fixing things. And by that time, that man will be impeached.
Well, I was going to say, though, I hear you, and but it's like it's just too close to disaster. And
but we have 4 months. Listen to me. We have 4 months.
2 out of every 3 seats that we can't afford to lose anymore. And with us kind of coming to the table with nothing on a platform really freaks me out, because we don't even have an offensive strategy. We're talking about maybe they'll do this, maybe they'll do that, but at the end of the day, they're not stepping up to the pump. And we can't run on this identity politics of Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. We got to take that off the table. Run with a platform that has Medicare for all.
It does. What do you think the Democratic platform says?
I'm waiting to see it. I see nothing.
Why don't you Google Democratic Platform 2018?
Where is it? I listen to it all the time. I mean, I'm looking for something, but we have no offensive strategy. Everything is a Trump freakout. And I get the detailed messaging of that, and it's cool. But I'll tell you what, we have no offensive strategy. And at a time, that's a dangerous move to have, because then it does become about Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Barack Obama's, we need to come bold with Medicare for all and find out, go. That's where the fertile growing political grounds are.
Okay, while I was talking to you, okay, you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good. While I was talking to you with one hand, because I hold the mic, it makes me much more relaxed than going toward a giant, phallic-shaped thing all day, which makes me angry. That's why I hold the mic, okay? But I Googled Democratic Platform 2018, and it took me to Democrats.org, and there's a big box that says, Our Platform, in giant 20-font letters.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine, Dandy. But it's message versus substance. They want message. They don't want substance. I'll know them by their works. We will know them by their works. There's a lot of fake messaging going on, and that's the way I feel. And but believe me, I'm with you. I want to see something. I'm from Missouri on this.
Okay. So here's my plan for us. Okay. We have 4 months. Go vote. Thank you. 4 months. That's it. That's all we got. 4 months. It's like we vote 4 months from, what's today? The 6th? 4 months from Sunday. Except it'll be a Tuesday, right? The 8th. Go check your voter registration. Do it now. Make sure you're still active and you're on the rolls. And then plan to vote Democratic, not Democrat. He likes it because it sounds like rat. That's why they like it. Over the grand old pedophiles, GOP, giant outrageous perverts, generally outrageous, what? Oh.
You got podcasts.
Oh, okay. I got Heather, and all her Facebook friends donated 5 podcasts. 5 podcasts. What a nice, generous, pay-it-forward thing to do. Heather, thank you. So the first 5 callers right now at 561-270-3844. 5. Thank you, Heather. Buy a stinking podcast.